Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Ask Anything presented by Motion Consulting. I'm your host, Angel Leon, Motion's Director of Personnel. We're happy that you could join us for this episode of Ask Anything because today we're talking about spring cleaning. And no, I'm not talking about cleaning your garage or basement. I'm talking about your computers. You know, they say that April showers bring May flowers, but in the tech world, it seems like April showers just bring more pop-up ads. That's right, folks. It's that time of the year again. Time to roll up your sleeves, grab our digital brooms, and do some spring cleaning on our company's computers. Because let's face it, if we don't, we might just find ourselves buried under a pile of forgotten files, outdated apps, and emails from that guy in accounting who can't seem to stop hitting reply all. So join us as we dive into the digital dumpster and come out the other side with computers so clean you could eat off them. But please don't. Crumbs in the keyboard are definitely part of the problem. And to join in on the fun, we brought back Kevin Guinn. You know him as the co-pilot guy. Well, he's back with us today to talk about spring cleaning your computers. Buckle up, everyone, because we have a real nerd joining us today. They say if your computer coughs, sputters, or throws a full-on blue screen tantrum, there's only one person to call, our very own Mr. Fix-It, the amazing and totally humble. Let's stop right there. Big guy of IT, Kevin Guinn. Kevin, welcome back to Ask Anything. How are you?
Thank you, Angel. I am doing great, and thank you for having me on the show again.
So I went a little bit extra long on that intro because, you know, it's springtime here in Indiana, and Kevin is based out of Texas now, so it's still summer in Texas. But, you know, the calendar really says spring. So I can't think of a better time to talk about computer, you know, cleanup and really just bringing our computers up to speed, if you will, with a little bit of springtime cleaning. So, Kevin, I'm glad you could join us for this one.
Well, absolutely. Always love to help out people, especially with their tech or improve their knowledge of what to do with tech. There's just so many things that I know that I'd like to share with others. And so this is one of those seasonal things, which is a good rule of thumb to do it seasonal, but more than once a year is also beneficial, has
Yeah.
its benefits.
I've got a whole case of canned air. Let's party.
Let's go. Let's party. Let's start with the why. Why does a good spring cleaning on your computer matter, Kevin?
Well, let's just start with the basics. If you have a cluttered desktop, it is not efficient to have to look through 1,000 icons looking
No.
for that one file, looking for that one app that you use occasionally. So doing cleanup allows you to become more efficient, to remove any accumulated digital clutter, if you will, for that unused application that somebody asked you to do one time and you
Yeah.
haven't touched it for the past 6 months. Remove any temporary files that are just in the way, that again, a report that you ran that hasn't been touched in several months, collecting that virtual dust. If you get all of that, you can be efficient, but it also allows your computer to run more efficiently as well.
That's very good advice. So, what could be the cost of not doing something like this?
Yeah, I'd say, well, let's start with worst case scenario. Worst
Mhm.
case scenario is you have unused apps that are just taking up RAM, taking up memory, taking up hard drive space. You continue to add other applications and files, and eventually you fill up your computer's hard drive, or your apps that are not been refreshed or updated use up all the RAM, and it pulls your computer down to such a sluggish, slow process that you can't even read email, let alone open a game of solitaire.
That's some good advice because honestly, there's sometimes, like I think as you mentioned a little bit earlier, we get these prompts to, hey, download this thing because you might need it. You might need to use it, and then you end up using it just once, and it just sits there and it's collecting the dust inside of your software, and it's just grabbing up space that could honestly be used somewhere else. And sometimes we even start using these software and we don't close them properly, and then it just keeps running in the background, so then your computer, like you said, is running slower than normal.
Well, absolutely. And I have an actual scenario of helping a customer earlier today with Adobe. So it was a very weird situation, but it was because Adobe Acrobat was running an outdated version. And all we did was hit update, run through the process, which was probably 7 to 9 minutes. And when it was done, that issue just resolved itself. It was running more efficiently. It was opening her PDFs much faster. So again, that's part of it, is making sure the apps that you do use are up to date, and any apps that you're not using regularly can just be uninstalled until the next time you have to use them. Because in a digital age of broadband, it's not like it used to be where you had to download it overnight and then use it the next day. We're talking
Mhm.
a mere moment of seconds to download some of the apps that we would use one time and then remove them when you're done.
And I love my Adobe products. I use Premiere Pro, use Photoshop, I'm using Media Encoder, Audition, all of these. But if you don't know where to go to empty your caches or your backup files or the copies of copies that sometimes it says, I have found 100 gig of stuff I absolutely did not need anymore from video files I had deleted off of my hard drive. It's like, I don't need that. And like, oh, look, here's 100 gig that is choking my computer
Yeah.
on videos that I edited in 2022. Nobody's asked for those recently or to make updates. We've made entirely new
No.
versions of these videos since then. I definitely don't need this stuff.
Temporary files are a wonderful thing. Not. Nobody said ever.
Yeah, nobody said ever, or you are absolutely correct. The I guess this applies to all computer-based technology. It doesn't have to be our computers, iPads, smart screens,
Yes. Yeah.
all of it. It applies, especially mobile devices. So you have a
Mhm.
cell phone and you have, let's just say Google or Apple, the two main ones, and you're taking pictures and videos and you're just filling up space, and you've got text messages and you've got emails and you've got saved files, and some grandmother sent you this recipe that's saved on there as well. Whatever the scenario, it will shut down your device from being able to actually function. It won't actually crash. That's the extreme. It will crash, and then you have to have someone else fix it to get back logged back on. But it will bring it to such a screeching halt that you won't be able to do simple processes on any of your devices just from your storage. Think of it like this. We are all familiar with the reality TV show Hoarders, about people who fill their house with unnecessary things. They have
Mhm.
pathways, and eventually those pathways, you're starting to step over stuff to have a pathway. Well, in the digital realm, it's the same thing. It is wall to wall, floor to ceiling, and you just have no more space to put anything. And then that's when either the seams burst and it's like, all right, we're shutting you down.
I'm glad you mentioned that because that happens to a lot of people with photos on their phones specifically, because you take a ton of pictures on your phone and you think, great, I've got all this great space in my phone to save it. Well, guess what? That space, there's no end in sight for it. I mean, you will find that end in sight really quickly if you take, especially if a lot of people who don't know, they just go and take like raw pictures, like
Mhm.
they take the raw format and then it's just start building and building up. And so there ain't no cloud that can help you.
I really like to have my photos blown up to the size of a highway billboard, which is exactly what raw file size is good
Yeah.
for. So, and nobody loves burst mode more than me, because what's better than one picture of my daughter blowing out her birthday candles? 90 pictures of my daughter
Exactly.
blowing up her birthday.
Yeah.
And why would I ever go back and find like the best 2 or 3 and delete the rest of them? That's crazy talk.
Here's a PSA for everybody out there. Check your settings. Just quickly, literally
Yeah.
go to the settings app on your phone, look up your pictures app or your camera app, and make sure you have those things turned off. Just it'll make for a better day for you than the day you find out that you've been taking raw photos and you're
A perfect example on how would be all the iPhone 15 Pro users and cinematic mode. They
yeah,
might be filming their kid blowing out candles in cinematic mode, which is
yes.
adding an extra couple of gigs per video just for how many details and how many settings it is. Most of us, unless you are filming some type of movie, don't need cinematic mode to record your dog doing a trick.
But it looks so
7
pretty.
720p is just fine. It's not even full HD, but it'll be fine for future reference.
But cinematic mode, it looks so pretty. No,
Yeah,
all right.
I want to see the exact
on
moment
hell.
in super duper slow-mo
Yeah.
that the candle extinguishes. And I want to
Yes.
go in one frame at a time and just watch the wisps of smoke as
Yeah.
they tendrils as they go and
The
go.
same mentality as picking up something at a garage sale for somebody that may need it in the future, but storing it in your garage.
Oh, you've been talking to my wife. How dare you?
Yeah. Listen, I said we're
Moving
not
on.
going to talk about garage spring cleaning. So let's come on, let's stay on topic here.
You stay out of my basement, you stay out of my garage.
Oh, I don't even know. Where are we at? Let's move it on.
So what should people do for this type of cleaning? Because we mentioned a whole lot of examples and we went a little bit off topic, but really phones nowadays are kind of like our own personal computers, what they used to be 20 years ago. So what should people do for this type of cleaning, especially on computers?
So there are, I would say, three primary locations of across all devices that need to be checked. The number one would be downloaded files. So in today's age, we download everything very quick. Matter of fact, we have to. We don't have an option. If I sent you a file, we do have software where you can view it, but for the most part, if there's editing being done, you will download that file. So same with your phone, you download apps. Now they have done a pretty good job of cleaning up the installer when you after the app. And sometimes Windows and Mac will do that, but check your downloaded files location. Remove anything that's not recent as you peruse through there and see that, hey, I remember doing that, and you have a giggle why you downloaded it, then laugh and go ahead and delete it. We mentioned earlier temp files. Those are the files that just accumulate. Go to the temp folder and wipe them out. They are not necessary. Now, there will be a notification that says, are you sure? Yes, you are sure. You can remove those temp files. And then, of course, the unnecessary files that clutter up, like I mentioned earlier, your desktop, where you have saved them directly to desktop instead of your downloads for easy access. And now you can't even see the pretty picture of your cat.
There you go. All right. So I want to shift gears before we go to the hardware because we normally just think about cleaning software related items, but the hardware should be clean as well, right?
Yes, there are many things you'd mentioned earlier about the keyboard because of certain individuals that eat. And so protect your keyboard very well from the drops of jelly and peanut butter and crumbs, because that will prevent you from being able to type like the rock star that you are, because sometimes you'll hit the D and that jelly is hit right smack dab between S, E, and D. And then when you hit D, it types as the other two letters as well. Or maybe it's a little sticky and it holds down and just runs a whole line of S or D or E or all the above. So yes, blow out with compressed air, blow out your keyboard on a regular. You can even take a little Q-tip with some electronic grade rubbing alcohol and go in between the keys, not drown it, just a little
Yes.
bit damp, and run between the keys to get any residue that may be causing problems before the keyboard actually fails or has to be replaced, because that is not a cheap replacement. Also, you can take the compressed air and blow out any vents or fans that you may have. Now, a majority of machines that today will be laptops. You can simply turn it over. You will see what is called the exhaust ports, because there has to be air movement. More than likely, it will be on the left and the right side. You might even see a case or what looks like a round where the fan is, but I would recommend after you've shut down your computer, just blowing the dust out of that, because dust is the number one enemy to electronics, as it causes heat, and then heat causes solders to disconnect, and it causes components to overheat, which causes them to fail and shut down.
So you mean to tell me that we have to shut down our laptops?
I'm not telling you you have to, but it's a general rule of thumb in the IT world. I will say that it's gotten better with Windows devices and Mac devices about how frequently you don't have to shut down anymore. But if you're doing any of what we mentioned previously about downloading files and installing and uninstalling apps, just try to do it once every day, possibly, or don't go longer than a week without just doing a clean restart.
Yeah. Yeah. That's smart. Yeah. Free tip, everybody. So before we go, Kevin, any final free tips that you want to share? Anything that comes to mind?
I have a ton of different things. So Let's see, by doing just some general cleaning maintenance on your devices, you can extend the longevity of your device, because everyone that I've ever swapped out or upgraded didn't want to. They like the way it looks, they like the way it feels. This is my machine. I've been using it for this amount of time. I don't want to have to go to a new machine because it doesn't feel the same. It doesn't look the same. Are my icons going to be transferred over? So, to prevent that happening prematurely, do the steps that we suggested. Clean up your icons, remove unwanted files, uninstall unused programs, blow out the dust, just do general cleaning on your keyboard. It doesn't hurt to have a little bit of screen cleaner, right? Because who all has physically touched, even if you don't have a touch screen, and with their finger, which leaves an oily fingerprint. And then later on, you're going to see like, what's that smudge? And then you're going to rub it with your thumb, which
Yep.
just spreads the oil on then. So just some screen cleaner, a soft cloth, clean your camera. That way you look best when you're doing Zoom meetings and so forth. That's another free tip.
Hey, even beyond canned air, like the little like attachments for like your couch, like the brush or anything, like on your ports of your laptop, overkill, dangerous. The smaller ones they make specifically for computers, are those just to get your money out of you, or are those a decent idea to have, or is canned air enough?
Canned air is mine, but you have to use the canned air correctly. Don't turn it upside down. Don't shake it in such a way that it blows cold water onto your keyboard or into your ports. Read the directions and follow accordingly. And I said turn it off because you don't want electricity shooting through your laptop while you possibly have a chance of blowing in some cold water from the condensation of shaking and then holding at the wrong angle your compressed air. Now, to address your question, it can be used. I wouldn't suggest you put on the little fuzzy that gets in the corners and pulls that out of your vacuum cleaner, just because it is not made for electronics. If you want to, and you can go out and get an electronics vacuum that has the proper adjustments and adapters to get into the cracks and the crevices, and to do so, I just don't know that your shop vac is the best feature or function or item to do that.
Gonna pull a board right out of it.
Well, if you get enough, you could probably just pull some of the keys off, and then you'll be putting in a ticket to me to have it replaced.
I need a new R. Don't ask.
And I will take duct tape and fold you one, write R on it, and send it to you. Anyway.
Well, with that, we'd like to thank Kevin for joining us today on Ask Anything. And remember, a clean computer is a happy computer, and a happy computer doesn't turn your important presentation into a slideshow of your vacation photos. So until next time, keep those digital brooms handy, and don't forget to empty your recycle bin. It's been real, it's been fun, and considering we just spent a while talking about computer cleaning, it's been real fun. Kevin, thank you.
My pleasure, Angel. Thank you.
Thank you for listening in to this week's edition of Ask Anything presented by Motion Consulting. We hope you enjoyed listening to Kevin Guinn talk to us about spring cleaning your computers. Join us next time when we continue to dive deeper with our resident experts on what they're currently working on. Remember to send us your ideas or topics via our social media feeds. In the meantime, please remember to give us a rating and subscribe to our feed wherever you get your podcasts. Until then, remember to clean out those deleted items. So long, everybody.
Go.